All right, good people. So we need to talk 23 is back. And joining me this evening, two people I've been trying to link up with to get on the show for a minute. And we finally worked out our schedules, linked up on the Unprofessional Opinion podcast. How y'all doing this evening?
Good. How are
How you
you?
doing?
I'm doing great, doing great. So just to jump right in. So who is the Unprofessional Opinion podcast? Who are you two?
You want to take that?
Sure. So we give unsolicited marital and relationship advice. Um and it started out just around this table right here. So we used it when we started our podcast because we used to have this used to be our kitchen table, and we would just have conversations with just people that came over to our house because we like to entertain. And when COVID struck, we were just like, why don't we go live? Why
Yeah.
don't we see if people want to listen to us?
And it just grew from there. It sparked. I got a lot of family in on the West Coast, and they started tuning in on the lives, man, and it sprouted from there. And we just offer that uncharacteristic approach to marriage, like letting people know there's more than one way to skin a cat. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It's nothing's the same. What works for you might not work for me, but
Right. And it's
that's
not a death sentence.
right. That doesn't mean that it's not good, you know. So it's basically what we talk about and try to, life is hard enough. So when you come home, this should feel good,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
I feel like that. I like that. And that's trying to get my wife to do an episode with me, and she refuses to step in. She said, "This is my baby. She wants to stay out the way of this one." But I'm gonna talk her into it at some point.
Tell her, yeah. Sometimes you gotta let her know you just as important.
I've had her on a couple of episodes. I'm trying to, I told her we see things differently. We're opposite ends of the spectrum completely. So I told her, I said, what we'll bring to the table might be something good and different that people need to hear.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
A lot of times we don't agree either. It
Yeah.
makes it fun.
Yeah. Like she swears I have like old world views of how a woman should act, think, and talk. And I'm like, no, I don't. I just, you know, I, this is how I feel. This is my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And, she's very open and very much so a feminist. And
Not
yes, she
extreme.
is. Yes,
I'm
she
not an
is.
extreme feminist.
She is. And so, we, our arguments begin and end with, um, how to treat a woman, how
Yeah.
to treat a man. And it's an ongoing thing, but it always end up in the bedroom. So it's a win-win for both of us.
And
yeah,
it's
You know what I
never
mean?
it's never about anything we got going on.
Yeah,
It's just about something that happened in
yeah.
general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, whenever she get mad at me, I go in the shower, I wet my hair a little bit, you know what I mean, oil up, and I come out. Not that I want you to have a visual, but I'm just saying, this is one of my things that I do. And you know, all is well. And we wake up on Tuesday, like, it's all good. You happy? Cool. Let's go make my breakfast.
yeah. That's a good way to end the night because I know a lot of times I tell my wife that if we get into it, I always tell her we're not going to bed angry.
Mhm.
If
Mhm.
I told her that's the worst thing. I don't want to because my thinking is always, God forbid something happens in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
I said I don't want my last memory or her last memory to be we were fighting the night before.
Yeah. Yeah. She used to say that all the time. I remember we were living in Denver and I can't even tell you what we were arguing. We were so young though, but we was arguing over something when I dropped her off at the airport. And I just remember, she just got out of the car and I literally probably was doing like 4 or 5 miles an hour still as she got out. And she's like, oh, and she slammed the door and I just kind of gradually sped off, And when she got to back to Philadelphia, I just remember like, I miss her. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
we shouldn't have ended it like that. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And so every ever since then, even when I picked her up from the airport, I told her we'll never do that again. We'll never end. You can be mad,
Mhm.
but just understand that there's a possibility you might not see me. So tell me,
Yeah. Give me a hard hug.
yeah, give me a hard hug, punch me or whatever. But let me know we good. So yeah, you don't want to go to sleep with a hard heart or a hard penis. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Uh,
where's the live by?
so how long have you two been married?
17 years. 17 years married and known each other 22
20.
years,
Yeah.
actually. 22 years.
21. We got together in 2000.
Oh yeah? That wasn't you in 99?
No.
Damn
So,
it.
so what do you what do you think was harder? Because for some reason, a lot of people think that when you get married, things change. And I always tell them, I said it's the same. You're carrying over not necessarily the behaviors, but the same things you did when you were a boyfriend, girlfriend are the same things you need to do when you get married. So do you think it was easier when you were boyfriend, girlfriend versus when you got married?
It was easier because we were younger and we didn't have responsibilities. The responsibilities is what made it harder, not the marriage.
Hmm.
So even and then we did everything very young because we didn't have much and people didn't leave us with much. So we were like, okay, well, we gotta build if we want anything. We rented two apartments together and we're like, we're not doing this anymore. So we bought at 21 and 23. Then we had our child the same week that we closed on our house. So that's like when it really, because we weren't going out to parties, we weren't going out to expensive restaurants. We were really frugal because we didn't want to spend the money. We were trying to save, and we were watching everybody around us just do what
Everything.
21 and 23
22,
year
yeah.
olds do.
And we set out on that journey so fast. So we lose ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Back just rolling it back a little bit. I feel with the initial question, I feel like as I got settled into the relationship,
Mhm.
I felt that me being vulnerable was easier because I trusted her more.
Okay.
So, you know, um, I'm a shy guy.
Mhm.
I'm shy. I don't show my goods to everybody. I'm not like one of those people like, hey, I don't pick up girls, when very easy, stuff like that. So she had to peel back layers on me.
Mhm.
I thought I was pulling back layers on her, but she was pulling them back when
Yeah, because
I
I'm just
became,
mean.
yeah, I became comfortable around her doing, during our relationship. So as things got deeper and stronger, and then when we got married, we really didn't know what we were doing. We
Mhm.
thought, okay, we're married, and
Mhm.
these are the rules.
Yeah.
You can't. We tried to do this traditional type
Yeah.
thing. Realized it didn't work for us. It
Mhm.
wasn't.
We
It
were looking at
wasn't.
each other like,
Who
are
are
you?
you? Yeah. Like, wait a minute. Well, she's like, well, I need my car wash. I'm like, well, I don't have any money.
Mhm.
Well, how come you're the man? And that's how arguments start because we're going by what tradition says, you
Mhm.
know, and we eventually kind of fell into our own groups or things
Mhm.
that we like to do.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
also listening to other people because you listen to other people and then you start building up those titles or those traditional aspects of your relationship because we had like people saying, well, why do you let her talk to you like that? And
Mhm.
you henpeck, you just do whatever she say. And I'm like, no, we like actually have a communication. We talk in private. We're not gonna have that conversation in front of y'all. But he allows me to just express myself,
Mhm.
and then some people take that as I'm mean to him or I'm talking back, or I've had friends say, well, I'll look out for you, Rashard, because Mel, she's mean to you and you're a good guy. And I'm like, whose friend are you for one? And mind your business. Whatever goes on in your house, that's your house. Just don't bring it over here.
Yeah,
But
she just didn't like that.
I was gonna say, but and that's good because that rolls into you know for me, like bully culture in relationships. Because I was telling my wife, you know, when I was telling her that I was gonna speak to you too tonight, and she was like, what are you gonna talk about?" And I told her, I said, bully culture in a relationship. And she was like, "What exactly is that?" So I told her, I was like, just like you said, people bring in their traditional ways to you when it doesn't fit.
Mhm.
And it feels like, you know, even for us, you know, we have like, you know, I have two kids with my wife, and one before I met my wife. And I told everybody, "Oh, well, she's pregnant, you got to get married." Well, why do we have to get married?
Right.
You know what I mean? And so have you two ever felt, but outside of what you all just mentioned, have you ever felt bullied as far as your relationship go from outside entities or outside people?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Kind of how we. Okay, so when we moved here, um, one of the things, that her family was requesting was like, when are you guys going to get married? I don't want you under my roof if you guys are not going to be married
And we were staying with family
with family.
to save for a home.
Yeah, and so it wasn't like we wasn't. This it's not like we didn't talk about it.
Yeah, we were
We were
engaged.
engaged when we moved here. It's just like they want to know when. So it was almost like a forced thing. So my family didn't show up. It was just her family there. So it's kind of like kind of forced.
And it wasn't really how we
And it
wanted it.
wasn't how, yeah, we just wanted, it wasn't the fact that we wasn't gonna, it was just that the people that want
No.
wasn't how we wanted it. We couldn't bring everybody together. And
Mm.
that's what the issue was.
And we wanted to get married on the beach.
Yes.
But we end up spending what $35 at the Justice of the Peace, which is
80,
nothing.
87.
Yeah, 87. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But that's not what we wanted.
That's not what yeah. So we were forced into that.
And then since his family was upset they couldn't show up, we had to have a reception in California. So we didn't plan anything for the reception. All I did was tell him what my favorite color was.
Yeah, we
And
showed up. It was a mess. It was fun, but it was like, both. And my father's side of the family is like, man, wild, and my mom's side of the family is more reserved, and my mom is extremely bougie.
Mm.
So it was like this was a bad mesh. It didn't fit. But we end up working it out, but it was forced. Everything was forced, and I think it played on for almost, I don't know, about 6 or 7 years,
Mhm.
and then it turned into something different. You know what I mean? We changed. So
So during that time, that 6 7 year period, did you all let it continue for 6 or 7 years because you all didn't want to disappoint people, or was it just something where you all didn't really think about it and just went with the flow?
I think we are very we're not people pleasers, but I think we went with what was going on because we thought whoever was saying what we needed to do, we respected their opinion. So we went with their opinion because we felt that there was, or we thought that it was best for us, because we thought they knew better, or
Okay.
they knew what was best for us.
Mm.
So what ended up happening, we when you do that, and when you let people have an opinion on your relationship, what ended up happening is, the first part is, you don't know how to communicate with each other.
Okay.
You don't know what to say to each other. Um, I remember there was a time where we had, it was like Easter. And Easter in her family is like a big thing.
Hmm.
Um, and I didn't know. I had no clue. Um, so everybody dressed up. Everybody dressed up, and they. I came in with like, I look like I just finished washing my car. You know what I mean? I'm just like, it's a Sunday. I'm kicking back. I'm a drink or whatever. I'm like, what do I need to get dressed up? I'm going to your grandmother's house. I don't need to get dressed up. I see her every day. And we that was kind of like the tip of the iceberg. I didn't know that that was a big deal for her, and I guess we had been doing it for so long. I got to the point where I was like, I don't care, I'm not doing this, you know. And she was like, well, this is our tradition, and I got to the point where I was just like, I don't care. I don't care what this is. You carry my last name. If you want to go do that, fine. I'm not going. You're not going to force me to do it. So it became, you know, a hostile environment. You know what I mean? Because we allow people to penetrate that fine wall that we had, and we never had issues. And I know people probably were like, nah, y'all had issues. Me and her never had issues before. Like you know, we would talk things. Our communication still is fine. You
Well,
know,
and on the West Coast though, with his family, everybody is so spread out that you barely see anybody. So it could be Easter, and we might stop by his mom's house, for dinner. Or, but I came from a small town, and we had like Easter dishes that my grandmother would put out. So it was like,
it was a big deal.
it was a big deal. And I've lost like a lot of loved ones. So in my immediate family. So tradition, once we were all able to be together again, tradition was something that was important to us, as far as like holidays and things like that. Not the family structure. My grandma was the main one, like, y'all need to do what y'all have to do, like what works for y'all. She was the always telling us.
She's very neutral.
Yeah, she's the one who told us to get separate bank accounts, while everybody else was like,
Nah,
no,
that's
you gotta put y'all money together. And my grandma was like,
yeah, and
she said there's y'all money and your money. You need a separate bank account.
yeah,
Sounds exactly like my grandmother. That's what my grandmother thing was. You know, even if you need to get a secret account and and keep your money separated, because she said if anything ever went wrong, you don't want everything in one pot.
Right.
So and that's how she looked at it. So when you all so once was that the breaking, I don't want to say breaking, but what was that the breaking point for
it
you
was
or for both of you to
it was
finally step away from the whole family tradition and everything? Or
nah,
No.
that was the beginning. That was the beginning of
Yeah.
we worked. We had to separate over time, break
Mhm.
little things down over time.
Hmm.
Um, it was two parts of that. You know, I had to understand that because of she lost so much, I
Mhm.
couldn't force my opinions on her and expect her to react in a positive way.
Okay.
I couldn't say like, hell no, you can't go with your sister. You know what I mean? It's me, it's family day. You know, I gotta be like, okay, well, you know, compromise. You do what you do.
Hmm.
But when you get home, you know, it's gonna be us.
Yeah.
You know.
And we had to really separate too, where because we have a lot of people that they expect that tradition, but at the same time, it's a lot of single people on both sides of our family.
Yeah.
So they depend on us to be their partner. So I had relatives that would call him and ask him, can he change their tire? I'm like, excuse me, no, you need to call me.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do that. It's overstepping your boundaries. And he had, single friends. I had single friends just giving terrible advice.
That forcing, you know, it's almost like people have their mindset of what your relationship's supposed to be.
Mhm.
And then and this is a fact, anybody that hear this, when they see that you're happy and you have like a cohesive unit, for some reason they want to fucking find out what that little pinhole is so they
Hmm.
can nag at it. I don't know why, and it's a fact, man. When we learn how to not let anyone get in between us, that's when you want to talk about letting your guard down.
Hmm.
Mhm.
it's it's magical because you know no one can. I dare you say anything negative about
Right.
her in front of me. I don't care if she's your sister or not. You know, it's I don't care if she's your cousin. I don't care who she is. Don't say nothing negative about
Hmm.
her.
Mhm.
um I will not allow it, and I feel that she would do the same for me. It became stronger, so
Hmm.
you know. But again, it's bullying is has everything to do with forcing somebody to do something that they
They don't
don't
want
want
to
to
do.
do.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know, and 9 times out of 10, um, I can honestly say I've been a bully, definitely in this relationship. I've been bullied in this
Yeah,
relationship.
I've been a bully too.
So I've been on both ends of the spectrum, especially when it comes to relationships, man. I've, you know, I will say there's a, it's one and one, on each side.
Hmm. And
Uh,
we like, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
No, we've actually had like we've seen how strong we are as a unit because of bullying. Because people would try to come in between us. If like women got into disagreements with me in our circle, they
Mhm.
would always say, "But Shard's the cool one," so they would go to him because he's calmer until he's not calm. But he's a level-headed one, so they would go to him thinking that
They can
they
break
can
break
break
down.
us,
Yeah.
and he's like, no, my wife wouldn't do that. We don't do that here. So
Yeah.
he always had my back, and that's when I was like, oh, okay, like you know we do have each other's back. I
She's
don't
like,
have
you
to.
are gonna get that threesome.
so, well, what is your sign?
We're both Scorpios.
Scorpio.
Scorpio? Oh, okay. No. Y'all cool with me. 'Cause you sound like me because my wife and I sort of get the same thing because she's I guess in the traditional standards, everybody, oh, the man is supposed to be this and the man is supposed to be that. I'm laid back and I'm quiet. My wife is the mouthpiece,
Hmm.
but I'm never far behind. And everybody knows it's like, all right, there's a reason that he's quiet. And I tell people, I was like, when it comes to my wife and my kids,
I don't play.
Hmm.
that's the shit I don't play with because I tell them, and people that really know me know, I have a bottom floor and a top floor. I don't have the middle.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell people, I said that's why I'm so calm. And like you said, when people try to get in between there, then when I flip on somebody, then they look at it and go, "Oh shit,
What
he's
is-
as crazy as she is."
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah. We together for a reason.
Yeah, I told you, we're the balance. We balance each other out perfectly. It's just
So
like
both of y'all Scorpios too?
no. I'm an Aquarius and she's a Leo, Cancer.
I love Aquarius. Cancers.
Well, we have one in our house.
Yeah, I get along with Aquarius really well. My Scorpio son is the one that's like he's very very challenging, but my Aquarius son is very easy to deal with. My grandmother is Aquarius.
Yeah, see, yeah, I have a Scorpio son too. My wife said he's me to a T. He's quiet, he's laid back. Only thing with him, he's a bit emotional.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I go, and I told her he gets that from her because I said I'm not emotional. But well, I just want to hit a couple more topics on this, and we could get into something else. So, at what point did you all know that it was meant to be you two? And I'll give you my story, and I think I mentioned it on Dell's Man Cave, Dell P's Man Cave, or something.
Shout
But I
out to
told them,
DLP.
yeah, they were at somebody asked me and they said, when did you know it was her? And I told them, I said, I grew up in a West Indian family, and I said I was always taught men don't show emotion and all of that. So the first time I don't even remember what it was over, but the first time I broke down in front of my wife and actually cried, I was just like, oh shit, this is it. I said I haven't done this in forever. So I was like, this is how I know that it's her, because I didn't feel any type of way about crying in front of her.
Yeah.
Sometimes guys get that macho thing. Now, it felt good to let it out and have somebody there to genuinely console you.
Mm-hmm.
So when did you two know that it was, that it was going to be you two for forever?
Well, there was mirrors on the ceiling,
Yeah.
and no, no, good.
Well, for me, it
Mirrors
was
on the ceiling, right?
no, it
No.
had nothing to do with it. It was for me. It was a probably about the third date. Um, we went on 3 dates in the first week of knowing each other, and I was really guarded, and I wasn't a crier. For
Mhm,
me, my family is opposite. The men are very emotional, and the women hold it together.
mhm.
Um, so I wasn't a crier, and my mom had passed away, and I was like I would get in trouble for crying. So
Yeah.
I didn't know how to even like let that emotion out anymore. So I would just like I would run until I threw up, or I would fight. or whatever it was, but I just didn't really have no regard for if something happened to me. Like I didn't want to harm myself, but I didn't care if something happened to me because I
Yeah.
was just going through life. By that third date, he parked and he was like, "Do you ever talk to your mom?" And I was like, "No." He was like, "I'm gonna get out the car and I'm gonna go take a walk and you look at the stars and you talk to your mom." So he left and I'm like, "What?" And then and I'm like sitting there having a conversation with her and then I started crying and it felt really good. And I started like just caring about like, okay, now what is my plan after high school? What am I going to do? Am I going to try to go to college? Like I had no plan past survival. It was just straight survival mode for me. So when I started coming up with a plan for how we would, like he asked me my 5-year plan that week. And I'm like, 5 years? Like, I don't know. I might be gone at 25 because that was like my grandmother, she died at 25. My mom died at 30. So I'm like, my life expectancy, I don't know how much longer I got. So I started thinking like, okay, well, maybe I want to go to school. Maybe I know I want a house. Maybe I want a family. So that's when I knew I was like, this is the only person that's ever challenged me and also let me cry.
Mhm. So what about you?
I still haven't found that moment.
Is
Oh my God, I got so many. I say it every week. This woman don't know how much I love her. Mel didn't do. She didn't have to do anything. I know it's cliche. People say love at first sight, but there was a level of comfort that I had when I met her, and I was so nervous when I did see her. When I first seen her, I can tell you exactly what she had on, what she smelled like, and I was like, I remember seeing, she has a tattoo on her calf, and I remember I looked at it over and over again, and I had it like stuck in my brain. I don't know why. But our first encounter, our first date, she acted like she wasn't interested, and I was like, well, back to the drawing board. I mean, I wasn't dating anyway. I'm in the cars, so I was like, I'll just dive into some more vehicles and do whatever. But then, um, I got her number, and she called me that night, and again, like that second or third date. I mean, I think we went on dates, but we were like friends.
Yeah.
We're like we went on dates, but we were just like total friends. Like it wasn't
And we ain't spend any money.
no kissing, no. It would be a hug at night, and then I think around the third date, she like rushed me. She did rush me. I remember that part. And I was like, I didn't know we was going there. All right, um, but the level of comfort. So it was one particular day, and I always had to go pick her up after she got off of work on a Saturday. And so I get over there, and she just, she had this glow about her. She was just different, and I can't describe exactly what she said to me, but I was having a real rough day. I had something that somebody stole one of my cars. So I was hot. I was like, and she was like, "Well, I'm just as much as one of these cars. She's something like that. And as cheesy as it was, it made she was able to take my mind off of material bullshit that I was on.
Yeah, I didn't care.
She was able to, she didn't care about what I had on. She didn't
Nah.
care about, she was able to just I lost all that. I grew up in city of Los Angeles, and it was always about the kind of car you had, the jewelry you had, or whatever to get the girl, and she didn't care about none of that. And she was gorgeous. I was looking at her, I'm like, oh my, like I gotta have her. And I had her, and the 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 insecurities that I had just went away. She made me feel totally comfortable in my skin, and I knew, I was like, this is the one. Any person that can make you feel like, or make you feel better about yourself,
Mhm.
she's the one for me. She made me a better person. She made me a better man. She's made me a better father. She's made me a better son to my mom. When me and my mother was having issues, she made sure that I talked when me and my father was having issues. She still made sure that's still your dad. You still need to, you know what I mean? Not fuck them. She wasn't like that. She was like, make me a better person. And for somebody to make me a better person, they're for me. And I honestly think I can't find this anywhere. It might be similar, but it won't be her. So so in a nutshell, that's what it is. She's able to make me better. Who sings that song? Neo.
Yeah,
Fabulous.
that's a good thing. Anybody that can make you, break down walls and things that you say you would never do and make you better.
Yeah.
Because Mel, you sound like my wife. Because for me, my wife, she broke, all the little rules that I had. Because I've never really dated people younger than me. My wife is 6 years younger than me. But
Wow.
when I met her, I was just like, this ain't going nowhere. I mean, but we talked and that's just like, all right, shit, she's wiser than, most women my age. So the conversations were so good. I was just like, all right, maybe she's just putting on an act. So then we went on a couple more dates. And, from there, it just grew. And the funniest thing is we went on a date and kind of like how you said, Mel rushed you. I wouldn't. We went on a date with two other people, and I wouldn't talk to my wife at the time. Well, we weren't engaged or anything yet, but I wouldn't talk to her. So she told me, she said, "Step out in the parking lot." She was like, "You want to fight me?" And I'm looking at her because I mean, I'm 6'2". My wife is 5'2", 5'4"
Wow.
on a good day. So she was like, "Step out into the parking lot." I'm laughing, and she was like, "I'm serious." So we go outside, and then she just like, "You want to fight me or something?" And it just went from there. And then, we just started building from there to get, to get to where we are.
Yeah.
Similar to you, I never knew my father really, and I get started to meet him right before he passed. And my wife was the one that kept pushing it. You got to talk to him. You got to talk to him. I was just like, see the point. I'm 30 something years old. I'm like, he hasn't been in my life all this time. Why now? And so she forced me to do it. And I'm glad that I did it because when he passed, it was something, it wasn't about the money, but when he passed, he left everything to me.
Wow.
And I was his only child. So it was just like, okay, I guess the time in meeting her, then him passing and everything just, I guess, played out the way it was supposed to play out. But
Yeah.
like I said, anybody that can make you better is the one.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's rare that you find people that want to make you better. And shout
Yeah.
out to her, man. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's
She sounds like a G, 5'2" with
she feisty. Yeah.
I ain't trying her.
um, but yeah, so all right, so we just jump off of that, and I have to ask since it's so recent. So I'm gonna talk about DMX here. So when you heard that DMX went into the hospital, what was your initial reaction? And then when you heard that he passed, what was your reaction?
When he went into the hospital, I knew he was gonna pass. And I was already like, I was praying because I'm not God. So I'm like, he has the final say. But in my heart, I had already known just because of his battle.
Mhm.
Like, you can't only battle that much for so long. And it's so much trauma that one person can take. Like, your body can't fight off all the things that trauma is causing. That trauma is like an autoimmune disease that's just attacking your heart, everything. And then you got drugs, a history of drugs to go with that. And with the pandemic going on,
Mhm.
drug use, people that have been clean for 20 years are having relapses at this point because they can't. It's hard when you're by yourself. You can't quiet your mind. Like,
Mhm.
you can keep yourself busy and do other things and cope in different ways, go take a walk or do this, but your place that you might have taken a walk may be closed. So now what do? You're in the home and you just all those demons that you try to get away from are just attacking you in your mind. So I like at first I was sad for myself, but I felt like he was at peace, so I was happy for him.
Like, what about you?
I'm more of a over time and some of the stuff that I've read, and I believe in, and I have faith in what happens is what happened. Um, you know, I'm not saying I fear death, but I understand it. It's a part of life, and it was something that he said in an interview that, if I were to die tomorrow, you know what, I had a good life.
Yeah.
And he did. People, and we're getting ready to do a show about this, where this man bleeds just like you and I do. He's talented, but his talent and his light shined over the world. I mean, I don't know if you've seen that concert when his song came on, and he had all kind of people dancing. It was over 100,000 people in this stadium. One man can do that. One person can inspire millions like that. Your light is bright, man. And that's who he was. His light was so bright. It was just so magnifying, and people accepted it. And he had this tough guy persona, but he had heart of gold because everybody had talked about him. And I do have a DMX story. I was probably like 18. He was walking down Sunset Boulevard at like 1:00 in the morning with like these two white chicks, right? yeah, white beater on. It was like 98, 99. He was walking and nobody bothered him. Nobody bothered him. And it was like, yo, X, and that was it.
Yeah, we seen somebody get stomped out
on Sunset. And another celebrity, and but X was there. Nobody, but they just was like, what's up? And it kept it moving, and I just it sucks because we lost, but you know what? We didn't lose, we gained, because this man put music in and he taught. And I think now people, for some reason, when people die, we listen a little closer to what they said in their music. People I always say most people didn't know who Nipsey Hussle was, meaning his philanthropy, his work within the community, how smart and dedicated to change he was. People don't realize that until he died. Now they want to talk about it, but it's like, if y'all knew when he was doing it, would you help him? What would you have done? Don't wait. And that's in a part of what we're talking about. Don't wait till it's too late.
Right. And we don't need to constantly talk about the bad stuff when someone passes. Like, especially if they have so many good things to highlight, why do we have to bring up the negative all the time?
Yeah. Well, that's gossip sells.
Yeah. Negativity, gossip.
Yeah. It sells. Nobody want to talk about it, but back to X, man, dude was phenomenal, and you can't take nothing away from him. No. And I look at it like this: if you have something negative to say, then do better.
Yeah, that's the truth. And people only want the negative because instead of them trying, they're just like, all right, let's keep bashing this, and it'll take away from their shortcomings.
That's right.
And things of that nature.
That's right.
So if you all had to, each of you, if you had to pick one DMX song, which one would it be?
What were we talking about, like a party or something? I just want to turn on and just be like,
either or. It could be one of the prayers. I mean, just what would be your go-to X song?
Mine's How's It Going Down. Like that's I played that all the time, even before last week or the week before. That's my song.
Slip, falling, I can't get up.
Slipping, yeah. So it's a good one.
Man,
I go the opposite way. I love ATF is my song. And I tell people, I said I appreciate the prayers, and I got a deeper appreciation for the prayers when I went to one of his concerts. And I said, hearing them on the album is one thing, but when you're in person in the arena and you get to, feel and see that.
I got a quick one about that.
Okay.
We went to I love J. Cole. I got in on the second album.
Mm-hmm.
I got in on the second album. I will admit I wasn't the first album, even though I liked the songs on the first album. But we went to what was the album? I can't think
It's
of
an
it.
album with Neighbors on there.
Yeah, with Neighbors. I can't think of it right now, but we went to that concert. And man, when I say I was blown away, like, man, I became more than a fan. I became I was a cult member. I was like, what are you? I just couldn't believe, like, because I actually heard him and I felt what he was saying. And he gave us a story, and I started listening more. You know what I mean? I started feeling what he was saying. So I can imagine
what DMX is like.
What DMX was like. Because we was listening to Slip Falling, and what he was saying in there, I was like,
I can't really.
Can you imagine hearing that from him?
Yeah, that song is really hard for me to even just get through. That's like one that I'll just hurry up and turn from, because it's just really hard for me to get through that song.
I like his features. I was listening to the one where he had with G Unit. Oh man.
But
I want to play that. Nah, damn, that was my joint right there. Oh my god, that's a good one. Yeah.
Or the remix, what's the one where LL was coming at Cannabis?
Oh, that was nice.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah,
Yes.
4, 3, 2. Yeah. Yeah.
Stay up a dark, because if I catch you when the sun is down, I'm running, clown.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, but I think slipping is harder for if you're listening to the words. I think it's harder for parents to listen to, especially parents that have sons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think we connect with it more, and it sucks that we have to look at it like that, but he has a lot of stuff that people, like you said, now are really gonna sit back and listen to, line for line, word for word, the things that
Marvin Gaye effect. It's the Marvin Gaye effect.
And the best thing about it was that he did that versus battle. I stood in my living room and was just like, I was just standing there, like, just amazed. And he started out with the prayer. I had the next day, I went and replayed it just on YouTube so I could hear the prayer again, because it was that powerful.
Yeah. That I'm thank. Shout out to the verses, man. They've been doing it. That D'Angelo verses, that was like, if I could smoke marijuana and just listen to that again, I'll probably wake up on Tuesday. Because man, I felt that. It was I felt anyway.
That and the Jill Scott and Erykah Badu.
Yeah. The culture won that day. There was no battle.
No, it was just good music. You just sit back, pour you a nice glass or something. And
first of all, Jill Scott's a sex symbol. I just want to put that out there.
And so is Erykah Badu.
But Jill Scott's a sex symbol.
Yeah, I'm 100% in agreement with you. I don't know why people look at it and go, Jill, nah.
She's gorgeous.
Yeah. I would submit to her. Sorry, babe, but heartbeat. I wouldn't.
All right. So I want to take it to this part, and I hope it's not a downer. I might have to pour myself a little something for this one. But, being that you all have sons and I have sons too, with all of I'll just say the bullshit that's going on in Minnesota. And right before we came on, I had to sit back for a minute, because was it 2 weeks ago, the cops shot and killed a 13-year-old boy in Chicago. And it just, I don't know, it just made me feel some type of way. And I'm like, I've slowly feel anger building up inside of me. So with all of this, bullshit going on, how do you cope with it, knowing that you have young men? Because for me, for example, I have a 20, a 15, and a 9-year-old. So how do you all cope with, everything going on, and what's the conversation like with your oldest?
I know for me, growing up in the environment that I grew up in,
Mhm.
so it was, we had to worry about gangs. You had Mexican gangs, you had black gangs, you had LAPD gang,
Mhm.
Mhm.
you know, that you had to worry about, right? From the time you left school, and school wasn't a safe haven.
Mhm.
So, if you rode your bike in the neighborhood, it was if you knew people, you knew people. If you didn't, I hope you got hands,
Mhm.
right? And that was the mentality, right? So, me as a 40-year-old man, I can go tell my son, like, look, the environment you live in now, because of, he's in suburbia. He
Mhm.
don't know,
Mhm.
like, if I took him to my neighborhood and he didn't want to get out the car.
Mhm.
It's like, no, I know these people. Like, this is my neighbor, you know. So my thing is, just as much skepticism as you had getting out the car when you saw them, you need to have that. You need to be cautious and learn how to de-escalate from
Mhm.
the beginning,
Mhm.
because no one's gonna take control but you. And even if you can't take control, at least try, because I'm telling you, I've me personally, I went to the Junior Explorer program to become a police officer.
Mhm.
Um, the stuff I heard turned me off from being a cop. The way
Thank
they
God, because this union wouldn't have happened.
yeah, would the
No
D
way.
is too good. You would have stayed.
Nah, I wouldn't have found out.
You would have stayed. But the what I was learning was just like far from what my dad, when he was in on it. My dad was like, yeah, this would be good for you, to keep you, as much as he didn't like police officers, he had a lot of police friends. He had a lot of cop friends. And he said, this is a good career move. He wanted what was best for me. Maybe you can change. And one of the most powerful things my dad ever said to me was, one man can make a difference. And I
Mhm.
felt like that until I heard people that look and sound like me say, this is how you write, you know, if something happened. This is what you do when
Mhm.
something happens. Um, and it turned me off. I'm like, wait a minute, you're not gonna tell the truth.
Yeah.
This is isn't this what we supposed to do? Like, no, this is how you write it. This is what you say, and you follow this code. And
Mhm.
so I tell my son, uh, as hard as it is, you know, you have to be the one of authority in any situation.
Mhm.
Um, I got pulled over. I think the last time I got pulled over, I didn't have my front license plate, or I didn't put my license plates on my car or whatever. And I'm riding, and when he pulled up, I had my license plate in my hand, and he looked in the car. He says, "Oh, okay, you got it." I said, "Yeah, I just haven't put it on." You see what I mean?
Mhm.
I'm not gonna give you a hard time. I'm
Mhm.
not gonna. Granted, you got cops that'll do that. I listen. I dealt with inner city cops. Los Angeles LAPD is a gang. I don't give a shit what you say. They are a gang. Me, I just graduated high school, and I look like I was 14 when I graduated high school. I had no facial hair. My hair like it was bald. Like I look like a kid, and they treated me like I was this murderer. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Face in the grass, knee in the back. And one of the realest things I ever saw, because me and my dad was going through it at the time. It happened on my block, and he walked right past me. He didn't even say anything. Didn't even want to say it to son. And he said, you had to learn because you thought different. And so because I gave attitude,
Mhm.
they were going to do that anyway.
Mhm.
So why even give them attitude? Why you just like, yeah, okay, try to de-escalate the situation even when you can't. That's the best chance of survival. We got to survive and stop being so prideful all the time,
Mhm.
because that's why I tell them, like, I get it. Trust me, ain't nothing like somebody putting your face in grass and ants running all in your eyes and stuff like that,
Mhm.
and you didn't do nothing. All you did was you're in the passenger seat with your cousin to go pick up a carburetor for
Mhm.
your car, and they pulled us over because they felt like it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So there's not. I just explained to him, you have to. I know and my son is gonna be a big boy, man. He's a big kid now. I'm pretty sure he's gonna be well over 6 feet. He's gonna be
He's already 237.
yeah, he's 237 pounds, at 15. And I know he's gonna and they are intimidated by that.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? But he's a smart kid. He's not, but I have to tell him you have to use your smarts so you can get home, son.
Mhm.
Because your father, I ain't the one on the news talking.
Nope.
I'm not the one on the news gonna sit here and be crying. I'm finding addresses.
Yep.
That's just me. I'm not. I'm an eye for an eye kind of guy.
Yeah.
And if I done something, you know what, I expect somebody to come knocking on my door too.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is. I can't make listen in my field. I can't make a mistake at all. If I make a mistake, people die.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I listen. I understand you guys got a stressful job, but it's ways of communicating. And I understand, especially in the inner city, that the mindset is different because you, your previous cops that was in the neighborhood, you're not getting to know people. You're not policing the neighborhood. I get it. Listen, I understand that we got to have law and order. We have to have that. But at the same time, I'm a taxpaying citizen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Treat me as such.
Right.
Guilty. It's always for us guilty and then
Yeah.
until proven innocent.
Even when you die, you got
Even when
you're
you're still on trial. It's never like, let's do an investigation. Let's find out what happened. No.
right. And honestly, if the playing fields were equal, we wouldn't need so much policing. Like
No.
people aren't going to steal if they have enough to be able to feed themselves.
Mhm.
People, they're not going to try to sell drugs or whatever they can if you're paying them a livable wage. um for me, like I grew up in, like I said, I grew up in a small town. My that didn't change my experience. My my mom's oldest brother was killed. He was 16, by a police officer. And the police officer, still, when I was coming up, he was my I guess my uncle was, it was like a couple of years before I was born.
Mhm.
So when I would walk down the street with my aunt, the officer would follow us, and my aunt would just be like, just he would be in his car and we'd be walking, and she'd be like, just turn around. He would just like, he would call her name, like, what you doing, where you going, oh, you look nice today, and just harass her. And he did that a couple of times to us, and I'm like, who is that? And nobody in my family, I knew that he was killed by a police officer, but nobody in my family ever talked about it. Like, it was something that was always like, people would just cry. Nobody really would talk about it.
Mm.
I went to a field trip to the library, and we were looking at archives of old newspapers, and that's when I was finally able to see the story of him dying. And he was walking away, and he was shot um in the back of his head. No, he was shot in the leg. Then he got in the car, and the whole side of the car was shot up, but he was the only one hit. And there were four other people in the car.
Mhm.
And it sounds like, from experience, like the officer had already pissed the officer off previously. They had a previous encounter before. And I guess about, what, 30 years later, my other uncle he went away. My mom's, he was her older brother as well, but he went away, and we didn't know where he was. He came back, he wrote us and told us he had to just get out of town to clear his head and everything. So he told us he was okay. We get a call from his wife saying that he had come back in town. He was locked up in Camden, and for a traffic violation, and he died in the jail by himself. We didn't even know he was in jail. And it was a traffic fine that we could have bailed him out. He got MRSA
Mhm.
from, I guess, something. He got stuck by something or a needle, and they just figured he was dope sick, so they just let him just lie in his cell and just rot away. And then when he got sepsis, they shipped him up to North Jersey,
Mhm.
which is a hospital that's like 2 hours away from where we are. Shipped him up there, didn't tell nobody until he was there for almost a week. And by the time his wife was able to make it there to see him, it was too late. So he died alone. So my experience with law enforcement is not the best. I actually have worked in a facility, so I guess I do have, like, I have seen the other side, but I know how it is when you're not one of them. When you're not, like, it's different. So I tell my son all the time, like, you gotta keep your head out of the clouds. Just because you didn't grow up in this, you didn't learn about this, nothing like this happened to you in your lifetime, doesn't mean that it can't happen. And just because you're fortunate definitely doesn't mean that it can't happen. I tell them all the time, like, you can't do what so and so can do. You're black. And we had an instance at his school where they brought me to the school and showed me a camera of him. They said he was staring at the teacher, and it can be mistaken for harassment.
Yeah.
And
a 13-year-old kid harassing a grown woman.
And this is what made it so bad to me was the only reason they could pick him out. They was like, and he followed her when she went into the hallway. That's him right there. And the one teacher was like, no, that's not him, because he had on an Adidas jacket. So I'm like, you can't even tell black boys apart. You just know him by what he had on. So I'm like, let that be a lesson to you. We keep telling you that you can't be sitting there. He was playing a joke and he was staring at the teacher. And it was another kid that was Caucasian doing the same thing, but he wasn't getting in trouble.
Yeah.
So I kept telling him, let that be a lesson to you. I keep telling you, you can't do what they do.
Yeah. And it's fact. I mean, we have to tell them, we have to educate, because they don't see it. You know, they assume that, you know, that what they see in the world is not real. It's not happening here. I'm like, yeah, it is happening. It happens more than you know.
And it does. And the two quick things. And this is for the most part, this is why I do my podcast too, is because it's seriously therapy for me. Because one, like you said, my oldest son is, like I said, he's 20, he's 6'5", about 250.
Wow.
So, you know, him getting out the car, you know, when I talk to him, I let him know, I go, and he's quiet, you know, he's mild mannered, similar to me. But I told him, I was like, it's just the fact that if they tell you step out the car and then you see him, I was like, most cops aren't that big. I said, they really aren't. I was like, so you're already a threat to them no matter what you do, you know. And I told him, and my middle son, my 15-year-old, he always has this mean look on his face. And it doesn't mean shit. I said, but it's all about perception.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I said, and that's the downside to all of this. But like I was saying, the podcast is therapy for me, because, and let me know if you feel this way too. I feel like, and I tell my wife this, and I broke down, this is what made me start the podcast. I broke down during the whole George Floyd thing. Like I said, I'm not an emotional person at all. But I told my wife, I feel like I've lied to my sons, and like I lied to my wife. I said, because as a father, we all tell our kids, like, you know, I'm going to protect you no matter what. But then when we got shit like this going on, it's just like, how do I look my sons in the face? And I know for a fact that I can protect them, but how much can I protect them when they're not around me? And I can't cover over them their whole life. Have you ever felt that way? Like you know, because I know I even feel that way now, like seeing the 13-year-old boy in Chicago that got killed 2 weeks ago, and the pictures are ridiculous. He has his hands up, and the cops still shot him in his chest and killed him.
Yeah, and you know, it's always justified. Why is everything just? You can't justify, like, why was if you didn't have a weapon, I mean, I get things happen so fast. But you have an advantage, especially if you have more than one officer with you. Like, I know this because I went through the training, and they taught us, and look and see with your eyes, try to examine what's going on, try to de-escalate the situation, understand what you see. Don't just try to assume. Understand what you see, because you're gonna have to put it to paper, just as you see it. That's what they taught us in the academy.
Right.
Just as you see it. the mindset is okay. It's like they go through training and then they everything that they're taught. It's like it's going out the window.
Yeah. It all goes out the window.
Yeah, I have a friend that's an FBI agent, and this is a white man. He's about 39, white man. He says he says he says these cops can't be going through the training that I went through. It's impossible. He said because either they're not listening or they said because that's not what we're taught.
Mhm.
We're taught that he says they're just reacting. Was it Philando?
Jessiel, yeah.
Yeah, like they
His-
shot
with
with
his
a kid
daughter
in the
and-
car.
After he told him to get his paperwork and stuff.
Yes. And they shot with a so it's like, okay, he's like, oh, okay, yeah, I got it. He wasn't, if you listen to him, he didn't seem like he was
Hostile or anything.
at all.
I
all.
I have an instance like where my mother was pregnant with my youngest brother. She was babysitting all the kids. The house got raided because someone, everybody wasn't on the up and up in my family. But my mom was babysitting, so it wasn't her. It wasn't her thing. So she sleep. They come in, raid the house, make all the kids sit down, and they have her handcuffed to a chair while she's sitting on the floor, and she's 8 months pregnant. What sense? What the hell is an 8 month pregnant woman going to do where you have to handcuff her hands to the chair like this? And then they took her into jail. Took her to jail, and my grandparents. They called my grandparents in the middle of the night, and they had to. For some reason, I wasn't there, but they had to go and get all my brothers and sisters from Child Protective Services. But it wasn't even her house. Like they didn't ask no questions. Just go in. She's babysitting. She sleep. Pull her out of the bed and handcuff her to a chair. And that was like her only, because she didn't drink, she didn't smoke. That was her only instance with like being arrested, and she was traumatized. But to me, it just seems that at a point, it's like, is it intentional? Like, are y'all doing this on purpose at this point? Because it doesn't make any sense. You're not de-escalating, and there's no way that a grown-ass man is going to be threatened by a 13-year-old boy. Yeah. I don't care if you see black.
Tamir Rice was the I had to, I'm being honest with you, and I had to stop watching after Tamir Rice because that right there didn't make any sense.
7 seconds on the scene, and he was dead within 3, I think they said.
And it's on camera. And I just sat there and I was just like, they killed this baby. They killed this baby. And there's no for you to be walking around as a man and as a father and actually functioning
and still have a job.
Something forget all that. Something's mentally wrong with you. You are checked out as a human being in this world.
And the fact that you are defending yourself, like you're a trash human being. If I took anybody's life, let alone an innocent child, like if I took anybody's life, even if it was somebody that broke into my house, I'm gonna feel some type of way. I'm gonna feel bad for his mother. That's somebody's soul that left their body. So I'm gonna feel it. I might even think about it day after day. You are defending yourself and having a trial. When you murder somebody, that just shows that you don't give a fuck.
Yeah, no remorse.
Like, why are you still here? And I hate to say this, but why are your family members still here? When my uncle was killed, my aunts beat the shit out of his wife and his daughter every chance they got. They would pull her out of their house and they would beat her up every chance they got until they end up his wife and daughter end up moving to a whole nother town.
And like I said, I'm not advocating for violence, but that's what's going to happen with everything that's going on now. That's where it's going to end up going, because it's like the episode that I did with the minister talking about bully culture. I asked him, I was like, we're taught in the Bible to turn the other cheek, but I was like, how long are you going to keep turning the other cheek?
Right.
You can only be slapped, but so many times you're going to keep spinning around till you're dizzy. Then what? And that's what's happening now, is that we're, peaceful marches, protests, all this other stuff, and everything is still the same.
Right. And you're really to me, it's like one child sneaking out at night and me putting both of my kids on punishment. or me, yelling at the one that's saying, why you let him sneak out? You should have told me. Like, why are you chastising the people that are just fighting for their lives? You're not chastising the person that actually is taking people's lives, or the people. Because how can you say, like, I read this the other day and it made so much sense to me. How blue lives matter when blue lives is not, it's not a life. There's no such thing as blue people.
Not unless it's Smurfs. That's there's Smurf or Avatar. It's one of the two. So
I've been saying that for years. That blue line. I got a friend that he was a fireman and his brother was a cop, and he said, "That's my brother. I grew up with him." He said, "But I would hate to see him in a dark alley because he my brother, but I know he'll off me."
yeah, and it's sad. And I'm not gonna stay on that too long. I think we spent enough time on that.
Yeah.
So I ask this. So what do you two do to decompress?
Sex, lots of sex.
Not this.
Hey.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Like I said, that's what you got to go with.
No. No, go ahead. I'm
Oh no. I mean that's my question. Is just like, what do you do to decompress? Either from, I put it, posed it this way. Either not even that you two are going at it, but just for you time. What do you two do? And then even just from the podcast and everything else, what do you do to kind of replenish yourself from everything?
We're getting ready to go do it, man. We have bath night. We actually do a spiritual bath. We burn sage, smoke a little cigar, and kind of turn on some music, man, and get into a vibe. In fact, my title, I changed some title, but I left all my good playlists, so I gotta get. I'm being there, but yeah, we
pick a theme of music.
Pick a theme of music and
set an intention before we get in the bath for something I want to let go, and then get in the bath. And sometimes I do that alone.
You do that alone?
Set the intention. Yes, it's something I want to let go.
Okay.
I journal. Right now I'm into deep breathing. I just stopped that because I have anxiety. So that's how I keep my mind from going a mile a minute. Is I have to just sit and breathe and be quiet. Like I also have to get up in the morning and have no one talk to me. I get up way before anybody else because I need to just sit in silence for like about 30 minutes, and then I'll call Rashard and check in with him, make sure because he goes to work early, check in to see how he's doing, and then I'll go on Facebook or Instagram. But I'm not doing that before I have my 30 minutes of peace, and I'll wake up the kids. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Today I put on like some music and jump rope in the garage. Like if I'm super anxious, I'll go and jump rope, and then when I feel like that I'm to the point where I'm gonna pass off from jumping rope, then I'll go run, and then just to get that energy out, and then I can come back and I'm fresh. Take my shower and I'm fresh, and I'm mom.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I see. So, go ahead. Were you about to say something?
No. What I do to decompress, usually when I get so I grew up. I'm not gonna say I was poor. That's not. I'm not saying that. It's disrespectful to my parents because they worked their ass off. But I wasn't spoiled at all. So like my first car I put together, and it wasn't my first three vehicles didn't have radios in them, right? I've only had 5. Only 2 of them had radios. So so I don't need a radio. I don't listen to anything when I get in my car in the morning. I actually record now, and like you said, when it pertains to the podcast, I gain ideas. Some of the stuff I can't put out because it's solely for me. It's not deep dark secrets, but things that I don't maybe I'll put out in the book or whatever. If somebody's interested in reading it one day, Chronicles of Rashard, Volume 1 on Amazon. But I try to I think silence is one of the best things we can try to adapt. Living in complete quiet And that's probably why I like cars so much, because it's nothing like hearing an engine roaring and going through its different shifts and changes.
Yeah.
And hear feeling the wind blow and zipping past cars and stuff like that. Like it's something about it where I'm just like,
Yeah.
this is it right here.
Yeah. I'm the same. Like, I like the quiet because I have dreams, and my dreams are like kind of intuitive. I'm not psychic, but I have like intuitive dreams, or I like my dad will talk to me in my dream, my mom will talk to me in my dreams. And sometimes I feel like I can feel them around me, but if I'm like anxious or there's a lot going on, I don't feel any of that. And I feel so lost. So I like that guidance. So if I can go to bed, my biggest thing is going to bed with a clear mind because of, well, like doing the podcast and then looking at our content and then going and looking at Instagram because it's work on Instagram. So it's so hard to go to bed with a clear mind. So we'll like our new thing, like I'll just wrap my leg around his so I could just feel like.
And by the way, that is like difficult because she sweats like a bear. So I wake up and I'm just like, I'm stuck to her. And
I just need to feel a person.
Yeah.
So I can kind of connect. I need to feel flesh.
If anybody have like anti-absorbent or super absorbent pajamas,
gonna work.
I'll take them.
It's hereditary. It's bad.
Like a onesie, like an absorbent onesie. like a copper fit onesie. That'll be it right there.
No, but I'm the same way. In the morning when I get up, the first thing I do is, I don't know, pray, meditate, whichever one. But I don't do anything. I don't, I touch my phone because my alarm is on my phone. But once I turn the alarm off, I go through my prayers and everything. Like I said, just sitting quiet. And then, then once I do all of that, I try not to get on my phone or anything, as crazy as it sounds, until I get in my car.
Okay.
Because then, I'm like Facebook, all that stuff. I try not to do it until I leave the house because I'm like, it will consume you. And like I said, doing the podcast and then, IG, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff, it's work now. So now you're trying to do all of these things. So I get up in the morning. I don't, outside of saying good morning to my wife, I don't talk to anybody, anything until I finish my prayers, all of that. And then I go, okay, now I'm ready to go. And then everything goes from there. But as far as, and this wasn't in my topics or anything, but since you're so into cars, what's your favorite car movie?
Going to 60 Seconds.
Oh, my man. That's it.
Yeah. The Eleanor, come on, man.
I told my wife I want one. I said I love that movie. I can watch that all day, every day.
Yeah, that's it.
I have a question for you. Does your prayer end in the morning, or do you have a continuous prayer throughout the day?
Throughout the day.
Yeah.
It's in the morning. It's no secret. Thanking God, for getting me up in the morning. Having the fact that all my extremities work. All just the little things that most people don't think about. Things that I'm thankful for. Like I can see color. People are colorblind. All just very small things that we may overlook or that a lot of people overlook. Those are the things that I thank that I'm thanking Him for in the morning. And then throughout the day, as things pop up, it's just like, all right, my wife and I, when we go our separate ways, it's just like, I, pray for her to make it through her day, no rough thing, hopefully she doesn't come home, ain't, upset or anything like that. So I pray all throughout the day just to, keep it going.
Funny you say that, because the fact that, she's working from home, I seek comfort in that. Because she's a terrible driver. So
what?
No, she's good. But I am a warrior. Like I said, she don't know how much I think about it every 2 minutes. It's almost like an obsessive type thing. I think about my children every 5 minutes. And the fact that they're at home, is peaceful for me.
Mhm.
It is extremely, because I know where they at.
Hmm.
I know they're good, and I don't worry about it. Like I can actually work and not go.
Are they okay? Is everything? Yeah.
Like, okay, I didn't get a phone call yet. She didn't call me, so everything's cool. You know, when she did work, I would track her phone. I
Yeah, I
would
didn't let
text
know.
her,
Just,
like, yo, you good? Yeah, I'm straight, and then, okay, I got to get off at this certain time because I got to pick up the little guy. And, the big guy is, what time is he getting home? Like all these things, moving around. And I was just rushing.
yeah.
And now, now that they're at home, it's comforting to me, but it's bad for them because they need to get back. They need to get out.
Yeah, I think they need to get out, but I would like to stay home because I like being close to them. Like, because there's nothing worse than getting 30 minutes from your child and they call you as soon as you get to work to say, so and so just threw up.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, they our guys, man. But yeah, so that I see comfort. I do have a I kind of lost the question, but I'll it'll come back to me.
Shoot.
But you guys been married for how long?
10 years this year.
10 years. Um, have there been any shifts or changes that you just fell in love with?
Honestly, um, being home, actually, the pandemic has been great for us because going into the pandemic, I did an episode a while back called Therapy Session. And I was telling the therapist that I was talking to, I said I was worried going into the pandemic because for our jobs, we both work in the same field. And I was just like, oh shit, we're both gonna be home at the same time all the time. It's just like, like I said, we're polar opposites. So it's just like I'm gonna get on her nerves. She gonna want to kick me out the house. So, but come to find out that during the pandemic, we've actually gotten really, really closer.
Mm.
So the pandemic actually, it worked out great because I was so worried, and and I told her that. She was like, "Why would you think that?" I was like, "I know I get on your nerves." She calls me an asshole, and I told her, I said, "I'm the greatest asshole ever." So what I mean, I said, I love my title, I earned it, and
Yeah.
and I told her, I was like, being home, we couldn't go anywhere.
Mhm.
I said, you're talking about being home for a year straight,
Yeah.
what I mean, around each other all the time. And
Mhm.
surprisingly, of course you're gonna have your little fights here and there, but we didn't get on each other. I didn't get on her nerves because it's rare that she that she gets on my nerves. It's more me than her. But I would definitely say, yeah, the pandemic was great for us.
Mm. Yeah, that's and you so reason why I'm asking because we got to do this again on
Mhm.
the flip side, and I'm just preparing some questions in my head.
Oh no,
That's
you
what I
good.
do. That's what I do. But I do want to say while we're we I don't know how much time we got left, but I want to shout out the Black Podcast Conglomerate.
Most
Uh,
definitely.
definitely got to shout you out. We got to talk. Amazing, amazing. I listened to the one you did just before with Ladies Lair.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Shout out to Ladies Lair.
Yeah, had everybody crying. Like,
Oh,
I
that,
was,
that wasn't my intention. They
it,
got on me about that afterwards, but I told
it
them
Uh,
was
my
so good.
listen, when I've always said that it's the grassroots projects
Mhm.
like the ones that we're doing that everybody's doing that create the new, you
Yeah.
know, the new, I love what Issa Rae represent and who
Mhm.
she is. And when whoever comes from this or whatever comes from this, I can't wait to see what it look like.
And,
Because
yeah, I think we have and I look at it and I say we have a dope ass family. I don't, because we're all in this together.
yeah,
It's like I said, a shout out to Bet the House,
bet the house,
and
man.
because Ken, I was telling Ken, I don't remember how I met Ken, or it was something through IG, but when he reached out to me, I was like, well, shit, I'm doing something right, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I didn't know what I knew what the numbers looked like, and I wasn't happy with the numbers, But then I'm like, all right, and I'm glad that you brought this up. When you all reached out to me, and I don't remember what episode it was, but I think you all sent me a thing and you said, I like what you're doing.
Mhm.
That meant a lot to me because I went and looked. I was like, who is this? So I went and looked, saw your followers and shit. I was like, okay, I'm on the right track. Because yeah, I'm like, if they like what I'm doing, I said, all right, I'm doing something right. But the fact that, Ken saw enough of, saw more than I saw at the time in my podcast and what I was building, it was just like, okay, cool. I'm doing it right. And then when you all were the first to reach out to me and say, I like what you're doing, it was just like, okay, I'm on the right track. So
Yeah, it
it's
was that
just,
episode when you were talking about letting your son be involved in your podcasting,
oh yeah,
building that legacy. It just really it struck a chord with us.
Yeah,
yeah. Because
definitely.
that's my biggest thing. And one thing I'm learning, and like I said, I don't want to make this episode too long. Like I said, I want to respect your time. I know I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I've learned over time is that to include my sons in everything, because I don't talk about it much, but this this here, you're the first that I did this to. But I wrote a book, wrote and published a book and everything. And I don't talk about the book. And somebody asked me why I don't. My wife was asking me and a couple of my cousins. And I told him, I said, when I wrote the book, I never wrote it with the intentions of putting anything out. I like to write. I'm like you, writing. I like my pen and my paper,
Mhm.
journal, all that stuff. I love my pen and my paper. And that's what I did with the book. But I actually wrote the book in my phone. So when I put it out, it sold well enough. The money I made, the money I spent to do it, I made it back and made more. And I was
Wow.
like, okay, cool. So I was just like, I never pushed it, never talked about it or anything. But and that's where I started thinking about my sons. I made them the executive producers. I write plays and stuff too.
Mhm.
And that's what I was doing prior to the podcast before COVID messed all of that up. I was getting ready to do my first play.
Mm.
And then everything got shut down. So the podcast was just like, I got to keep the creative juices going. So my sons are my executive producers on everything that I do, and that's what that was all about, because they always wanted, well, how come we can't do this? All right, so all right, I'm gonna teach you editing. I'm gonna teach you
Mhm.
this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna teach you that. And
Yeah.
just because I told them, I was like, in 30, 40 years, I may be gone or whatever the case is. I said, when these residual checks and all these royalty checks, things like that start coming in, I was like, just know, that I set this up for you all to
Yep.
Mhm.
to take care, to reap the benefits, when that
Yeah.
time comes.
Yeah. I can't wait to see a play, man. We gotta drive down.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm from New Jersey. I'm trying to get my plays back into
Wait,
Jersey.
what part of New Jersey?
North, right?
I'm from Patterson.
Mhm.
Okay.
I got that much family in Patterson.
No, no,
My grandfather's family is so small, and they're West Indian too, but
no,
they're very small. Everybody just had like one or two kids.
okay. Yeah, so yeah, I'm from Patterson. So I'm trying to, once everything fully opens back up, I plan on getting back into doing my plays. I have about 5 or 6 ready to go.
So we ain't gotta go
Mm,
far.
mm.
No, and like I said, hey, come to Philly, wherever I need to go. I'm gonna take my plays wherever they're needed. If I get 10 people in the house, I'm cool with the 10 people. There's 10 people that can share that word and
Mhm.
let it
We
grow
can,
from there.
we can try to get you at least 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we get more than that. We can work this. But yeah, definitely. This was good, man. I don't know if you have anything else for us, but
I had fun.
I had fun. I was looking forward to it.
Man,
Um,
I appreciate y'all time and everything. The last thing I'll go out with, do you have each of you or as a group, do you all have any words of wisdom for couples, young couples, struggling couples, whatever the case is? Any words of wisdom for
ooh,
them?
struggling couples.
I would say to couples that are afraid to jump into marriage, saying that it's just a piece of paper is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard, and I just want that to go out the window. You do have to go in with the tools and it won't change unless you put the work in. Like marriage isn't a fairy tale where everything is just going to magically change. But it's not just a piece of paper. It is two families coming together to build a legacy and creating something different. Um, we had said this before in a previous podcast that two slaves, they became free because they were married. And
Mhm.
once they were seen as being married, then they were seen as human beings. So that's how they got their freedom. So it is something that I feel like we were told as Black people not to do. And so many of us don't do it, and you have so many broken homes. And even women are, the court system is set up where women benefit more if they're not with their spouses. Like they have to hide that they have a spouse in the house to be able to afford their way of life, to get assistance. So why, if they're trying to keep us from doing it, that's more of a reason for why you should be doing it. Don't think, well, that was set up and times that aren't current anymore and it's obsolete and we shouldn't. No,
Yeah.
that's not true. If you want to do it, don't let your friends tell you not to do it. Don't be one of them man hating women. I mean, men, don't be one of the women that hate men. Like, we are not adversarial. We can be a very good partnership, and nobody has ever had my back the way my husband has had my back. That's with having three brothers. No one has ever had my back, and a dad. Nobody's ever had my back like this man.
Yeah, I would say for if you're struggling, um, dive into that struggle. Whatever that struggle is, talk about it every day until that wound closes. If you have doubts, figure out what that doubt is. Understand it might be something in the past that you need to fix. If you can't fix it, learn how to live with it and love it.
Mhm.
If you have a couple that are in love with each other but just undecisive, make a fucking decision.
That's, and that, I mean, and with that, so how can the people find you? Where can they find you when your episodes drop?
Oh man, we have to drop some stuff. We've been
On a little break.
not a little break. We've been extremely busy. We've had a lot going on outside of unprofessional opinion. Not that we forgot about it. We've actually did some remodeling down here in our studio. So we were working on that. But our YouTube channel,
Unprofessional.
unprofessional opinion on
Yes.
YouTube.
Please
IG,
subscribe.
yeah, subscribe
And
like.
on YouTube, our videos drop every Sunday.
Yeah.
On our audio drops every Wednesday,
Mhm.
and that's on all podcasting platforms except for iTunes.
Yeah, iTunes. Yeah, but yeah,
I'm sorry, no, we're on iTunes.
we're on iTunes.
Except for
Was it the app? Not iHeart.
yeah, iHeartRadio.
Yeah, for some reason iHeart don't like us. What's up, Charlamagne? Hook us up, man. And then also on IG, unprofessional underscore opinion.
And you can get the merch at unprofessional-opinion.com.
We there, wear it, man. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
We want to put it out there. We got some things coming, but thank you guys, thank you, Ringo, for even having us on, man. We do need to talk.
Yeah.
No, I like working with like-minded people, easy conversation. And again, I appreciate your time. Have my last little sip to you all. And like I said, hope to do this again soon. And like I said, there's a podcasting family, not just friends getting together to do something.
Nah.
We're gonna do it big. But this is We Need to Talk 23. Signing off. Thank you again. And I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.